Welcome back to another episode of the Phreak Show. It is the freakiest time of year, and that means Worlds is in full swing. And I'm going to celebrate that by taking you on a magical journey through the Worlds 2018 metagame. Specifically, I want to talk about 3 champions who may have given esports fans a jump scare. Now, Urgot, Lucian, and Lissandra all showed up seemingly out of nowhere, and we're going to start with League's ugly Duckling, who has had 100% presence throughout the play-in stage of Worlds. Back at 8.11, Urgot received a small buff to his attack speed and some quality of life adjustments to his abilities, but honestly, nothing seemed too major. Here we can see how popular he was in pro play throughout the world in the summer split. You can see he started showing up after the buffs, of course, but really started getting noticed at 8.15, which is the Korean postseason patch, and 8.16, which is the LPL postseason patch, and the rest of the world caught on soon after. So what exactly turned Urgot from the ugly Duckling to the, ugly but highly contested Duckling that he is today? Well, number one, he's a very good laner. He's got percent health damage, he's ranged, both those things are very, very good in a tank, so he's good at bullying them out of lane. He's also reasonably tanky. This is a comparison of Urgot to Nautilus as top laners with the same gold and XP, using their active abilities to keep themselves tanky, their shields on W, and they're on pace for a pro game. Nautilus is about 5 to 15% tankier across the entire game, but that is not a gigantic margin. Urgot's still pretty durable. Urgot team fights like a juggernaut. He soaks up punishment, but also deals really good damage across those fights. He actually has the highest damage per minute of any top laner played more than 3 times at Worlds so far. What Urgot does not bring is strong engage. Teams need to bring other champions like Gragas or Alistar who can start fights. Otherwise, enemies can keep Urgots at arm's reach constantly. Now next up, we have a gunslinger who has been seen dashing around the Rift and on the eve of Worlds received a substantial buff to his Q attack damage ratio. And of course, that made sure that fans were getting their money's worth on tickets to the gun show. Using Zeitnot, the Turkish bot laner, in his games as reference, we can take a look at how much damage a Lucian Q is dealing throughout the game. Total damage gains are as much as 10% in later game scenarios, and even that is only at 3 major items completed by the time the game ends. We're not seeing these hyper late game Lucians very much, but that would keep scaling. Now, so far, Lucian has not been very successful, unfortunately. He's been mostly played as a counterpick to Kai'Sa, and though he does sport positive laning stats against her, he is not closing out those games. One surprise I have, though, is that I am shocked we are not seeing him yet in the mid lane, considering mid Lucian has been a competitive staple before, and that was back when he was much weaker statistically, so I would really expect to see him at some point in mid throughout Worlds. Now, finally, I want to take a look at a champion who has unburied herself from ice and showed up from almost out of nowhere. Much like Urgot, Lissandra was buffed a while ago, all the way back in the MSI patch of 8.8, which gave her better Q mana cost and R cooldowns. However, she didn't see play until 8.11, coincidentally the same patch as Urgot. Let's take a look at her pro presence over that same time period, which did not spike at all until Worlds. Right now, she's being played as a top laner into Urgot, but almost everyone plays against Urgot, so that could be a coincidence, but she's also being played mid into LeBlanc, which feels a bit more targeted. Now, both these matchups I think make sense. She can either lock them down when they get aggressive, because his champions do want to get aggressive, or simply chase them down with their crowd control in a 2v1 or 2v2 gank when her jungler shows up. All of her wins have also come alongside Kai'Sa in the bottom lane, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise because, again, Kai'Sa is also super popular, but there is synergy with unlocking that Kai'Sa ultimate. When you stun or root a target, the Assassin Marksman is right there ready to follow up and kill the target off. Cloud9 specifically have been running dive-heavy compositions, and so I think it's no surprise that C9 are running the champion and the first ones to bring it out. Now that's the curtain on this episode of the Phreak Show, but there is still plenty more Worlds 2018 to come. I'm gonna make one more bold prediction here and say that you are gonna be watching the Worlds group stage when it kicks off October 10th. Tune in to find out if I'm right.